Washington VP of Player Development Doug Williams said on the Dan Patrick Show that Washington had some interest in Colin Kaepernick a few years ago. Williams explained that with the team's location being in D.C., which is so military heavy, they feared that fans would turn against them. Shannon, are you buying this explanation?
It's a convenient excuse, Skip. And I'm sure that Washington was not the only team that convinced themselves of this. But it seems to me, Skip, when they say a segment of the fan base, they're only talking about one segment, the white segment. Like, blacks don't go to games, Skip. If I didn't know better, you'd swear blacks don't go to games. So what about bringing Cap in and energizing the black segment of your fan base? That never crossed anybody's mind. Well, the white fan base. And it's interesting to me that it's like, well, you know, D.C. is such a military town, and the fans, well, you had a name for 70 years, and you don't seem to care about what the fans think. You keep that going. So you do what you want to do. If teams wanted to sign Cap, they do. Because it seems to me the crime, quote unquote, which wasn't a crime, that Cap committed was an unforgivable, as opposed to some of the guys getting signed that actually committed crimes. So a peaceful protest is more of a grave injustice than somebody actually doing something, Skip, that was wrong. I'm confused. You see the backwards way of thinking, Skip? Look, I get it. I know Doug, and he's speaking honestly, but the Washington was not the only team that convinced themselves it was about the flag, it was about the military, and it's going to turn a segment of our fans off. Let's just, if they didn't sign him, we can say, hey, we can make whatever excuse we want to use, Skip, you know, doesn't fit our system. You'd have to develop another system for a backup quarterback. More trouble than he's worth. But Skip, this is very, very convenient. Very, very convenient to say that, that it was about the fans, and there's no way to definitively know. Was that the only reason? But I think that did weigh into a lot of the teams that didn't sign him. They were looking for a reason not to sign Colin Kaepernick. The best reason, he had a silent, peaceful protest, and we made it about the flag. And they're going to play the national anthem at the start of every game, and it was going to be a distraction, and so we say no.
So I also know Doug Williams. I've known him since he was in college at Grambling, and I believe in him, and I appreciate all that he went through. Became the first black quarterback, obviously, to win a Super Bowl, trails that he blazed. But that decision in 2017 was above his pay grade.
Yeah.
So that wasn't his call. Let's not get it confused.
Dude.
It went to the top. It went to the owner.
And the owner is very close to you know who.
You know who. So Doug said, you don't want to bring people into a situation where nobody is going to be happy. Well, I've been told that it's between the Redskins and the Saints for which franchise has the highest percentage of African-American season ticket holders. Season ticket holders, right?
Yep.
It's very close, neck and neck. I'm not sure exactly what the stats are, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Redskins have the highest percentage. So you could have made a case in 2017. Why don't you play to that part of your constituency, right?
Dude.
Maybe it would be time to enliven your black followers to where they'd say, wow, here we go, right? And obviously, they didn't draft, it was RG3, right, that they had before.
Right, because they drafted RG3 in 2012.
And they traded up to draft him, and now they have Dwayne Haskins. I've said it to you before within the last couple of weeks, Colin Kaepernick to me is better than Dwayne Haskins. That's just me. And Kyle Allen that they acquired from Carolina. I believe Colin Kaepernick is better than Kyle Allen, their backup.
Okay.
Alex Smith is still on the back burner.
Yeah, I don't see him.
Whatever. God bless him. He's just had his career wrecked.
I saw the piece they did on him.
Yeah, I know. Whew, it's tough.
Yeah.
But he's still there as a long shot possibility. I still say Colin Kaepernick would really work in Washington today. Now, certainly that the tide has turned. But in the end, I'm with you, and I appreciate that you brought up the bigger point, which is that franchise has had a racist nickname for what's it been, 70 years? Yeah, 70 years. Maybe I appreciate it slightly more because I grew up in what was called Indian Territory. Trail of Tears. They moved the 5 civilized tribes from southern states, lost a lot of them along the way, forced march all the way up to Indian Territory, which was Oklahoma, and put them on reservations, which began to shrink because they then had a land run and they gave white settlers big parts of their reservation. So, but we don't need to go into that. But I have a more of a sympathetic eye and ear for this.
Right.
And to me, Redskins was a racist or at least derogatory term that originated in TV and movie westerns early on, way back in the 40s and 50s. It's, you know, it's just terrible. It was just, what?
It ain't no term of endearment.
No, no.
If they gave themselves that name, like we gave us, they gave us the NER, we put the GA on the end of it, and we called each other, that's different.
No.
Y'all gave them that name. And then oh, yeah, that's a term of endearment, that's a badge of honor. No, it's not. Says who?
So Dan Snyder has paraded out some of the leaders of some of the tribes who say we're not offended by it. In fact, we're honored that you would use our... No, I don't believe that.
No, I don't either.
But whatever. There have been also a lot of other Native Americans who have spoken out. We are offended by it.
Correct.
And if even one spoke out, I would say, then it's wrong.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
So in the end, I don't know how it continues to thrive. I don't know. It just seems to me like you could thrive economically if you changed it to, I don't know, Warriors or whatever, your Washington Warriors. That would be alliterative.
Right.
And you could sell a whole new set of jerseys and paraphernalia, right?
Right.
I don't know. So maybe that's a very important issue they haven't faced also.
But Skip, look, that was the instead of just saying that, but they tried to, well, it was about his talent. We knew it wasn't about his talent, because the guy had been a starter for the better part of his career, and he didn't drop off a cliff. Now, I'm not saying that Cap was Russell Wilson or that he's Pat Mahomes. I'm not saying that. But I believe Colin Kaepernick could have been a starter, should have been given an opportunity. I'm not saying you give him a job, but I'm saying you give him an opportunity to show what he can do. And if he can't do the job, he can't do the job. But when you made it about this, and then you says, well, and you paint him as in such a light, yeah, the negativity is gonna be there. And we know that Mr. Snyder, we know his relationship with the president, the man that lives at 1600 Black Lives Matter Avenue. I love it.
I thought you were going to rename it 1619 Avenue.
No, Black Lives Matter Avenue.
Okay.
Skip, so we know the relationship. So that was, Skip, you and I both know. I don't care. That was never going to happen. He was not signing there. And be in shouting distance of that big White House with the way he feels about the anthem and the flag and the military.
I agree. It wasn't going to happen.
That wasn't happen.
No, you're right. Could it happen now? Probably not.
Skip, and that's the thing. And I don't want to be Debbie Downer. I don't want to be, cynical or skeptical. But Skip, nobody signed the man 3 months after. But 3 years later? But here's the thing, even though there's a groundswell of support, the owners still feel the same way, Skip. So, we ain't got no team, Skip. The fans don't own a team. If we own the team, okay, baby, come on in, Cap. You've been punished enough. Come on, we're gonna give you an opportunity to compete for a job. But we don't. Them owners still feel the same way.
So just to be fair about this, I'm going to say it one more time because it fits into this conversation. Back in 2017, my longtime friend John Wooten called me. He was then the head of the Fritz Pollard Alliance overseeing the Rooney Rule for the National Football League. He once blocked for Jim Brown up in Cleveland. And John said, hey, do you know how to get a hold of Colin Kaepernick? I said, well, I don't, but Shannon might be able to. And John said, I've got 5 teams right now. This was in 2017, maybe in October. They're interested in talking to Cap. Now, would they have signed him? I have no idea, but they were very interested in talking. And John couldn't get a hold of Colin because nobody could get a hold of Colin to get him to fly in, at least to sit down and say, yeah, I'm all in. I want to be a franchise quarterback. I want to be your starting quarterback. And I don't want to pursue a path of activism full time because they thought maybe that's what he wanted to be at that point, as a full-time crusader for social racial justice, right? And we still haven't heard from Colin, so I'm still not sure where his heart is on this right now.
I mean, you hear bits and pieces. He's in the best shape of his life. He still wants to play, but that's coming from other people. So at the end of the day, Skip, I believe still that Colin Kaepernick says, you know what, guys, I want to play. I believe I'm in good enough shape. My arm is lively enough that I can go and compete for a starting job, or I can be a backup. I still believe the NFL is going to say, you know what, we've moved on.
Maybe.
That's what I believe.
Okay, I want to shift back to the NBA guys because Kyrie Irving is hesitant that the season should restart. Chris Broussard joins us. We're going to get his thoughts.